to learn as a parent. Like everyone's like, I just hope my child will be this. I'm like, I just hope my child will always understand that there's unconditional love everywhere you go. You know, yes, we live in he doesn't hold yesterday against today or tomorrow. He just loves, period. And that's what.
And you would want that for everybody, to know love the way that Teddy knows love.
Exactly. It's like, I don't care. I just want to love like he taught me how to love, you know, because that's the hardest thing to do is love and accept.
One reason we help share these stories is that in listening, you can come in some way to see into the personal and emotional growth that these parents experience. My name is Seth Carnell, and this is the Go Shout Love podcast. Before we jump in, I wanted to ask that any of you listening would consider rating and reviewing this podcast. We are reaching listeners and making an impact, but that impact could continue to grow and with any help, positively affect someone who needs to hear these stories. That begins with people like you sharing and reviewing. This episode is a continuation of our conversation with Matt and Liz, the parents to Teddy, who has Dupe 15Q. To know more about Teddy and his medical journey, take a listen to our previous episode. That will help provide background for this one. Matt and Liz give us their knowledgeable perspective on how people view Teddy and even view them, their lives, and their situation. Matt talks about how people continually say, "I'm sorry" to them about life with Teddy. That is why these conversations are so important, because phrases like "I'm sorry," they're not trying to be offensive. They have the best of intentions, but they are limited, and there is so much potential of expanding someone's understanding. Anyone who doesn't have a kid with different abilities can improve their perspective and learn a new kind of language that opens the door to seeing what life with a kid like Teddy is really all about and what can come out of it. We also talk about how beneficial a safety sleeper bed will be for Teddy. If you are familiar with some of our previous families, this bed keeps on coming up and it is a game changer. Liz also talks about the importance of advocacy, which is one of those topics amongst our families that can't reach far enough. You will want to hear about that. We start by talking about Teddy's daycare and how his personality uplifts those who he is around. Here we go. How is the daycare with him? Does he enjoy it?
Our daycare now is so lovely. We, if I could take his teacher and grant her to be a para and have her go to school with him when gets into kindergarten, every room that we've been in at our daycare now has been so lovely. We initially went to one daycare that we had to change daycares when he was just over a year old. It was a really big, upsetting experience. We had him somewhere that we really loved. And they had noted that he was behind, just like obviously we had as his parents.
Yeah.
And when he was 10 months old, we had a meeting with him and they were like, we noticed that he's behind based on this, state assessment, but we're going to, we're Team Teddy and we're going to cheer him on and do all these things. But we're just going to keep him in the room that he's at right now, which is their infant room. And then not only literally 3 months later, they're like, hey, we need to have another meeting. And we're like, okay, that's kind of weird, but sure. And in that meeting, they were like, well, Teddy's behind and we don't feel like he's safe enough to move up to his next room. And he basically doesn't have a spot here anymore. We can only provide care for him for 2 more weeks because he won't be safe in the next room. The other kids are going to step on him, and we can't provide him one-on-one care. And we were like, well, we don't really think he needs one-on-one care. He just needs, when you're sitting on the floor with him, like he does need somebody to like sit behind him or a pillow behind him to keep himself safe.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't completely steady on his own yet. But, and all of that was like so crazy and so upsetting. But then it led us to our current daycare, which each
awesome.
room has been great, but the room that he's in right now, I don't know. The older that he gets, you notice obviously his developmental gap is more substantial, and you see the difference. The kids in his room are walking and talking, and they can get up and wash their hands at the sink, and they're like working on potty training, it's great for him to be immersed in that environment. I'm really thankful to be in a classroom with peers of his same age, even though they have different abilities. Mm-hmm. But his teacher now she's so inclusive of him. And I think that she's going to school for being a teacher, but she is the definition of just excellent. She is inclusive of him. Like they did a Congo, cares. They did like a celebration day and had like a little limbo line.
Yeah.
Like a limbo line. Mm-hmm. And she's like going under with him and his walker in it. They had a water day last week, and she is out there with him at the water table, getting him a popsicle, having him be with the group and go through the sprinklers, and like anything that she can do to include him all the time. And I think it's been it's great for him, obviously. And I think it's great for the other kids in his classroom. Like we walk in there and all the kids know him. The moment we walk in for the day, Daddy! Whether it's first thing in the morning or after PT, everybody knows him.
And to them, like, he's just another kid.
Yeah, he's just another kid.
Right.
He's like, the parents in the room have commented, like, we love him. Everyone in our daycare, like, we walk through the halls.
Who gets to take Teddy to his room and such.
Yeah, like when we're leaving, they're like, bye, Teddy. And I'm like, I don't even really know that teacher's name. Not for just because I don't necessarily see her. She's not one of the main, she's not one of the main teachers, but everybody knows him. We did a celebration at the end of February for like the last day in February is Rare Disease Day. And so we treated the daycare. We had purchased cupcakes for everybody in the daycare. It was like 25 dozen cupcakes. And they had written up a letter just celebrating, like, we want to celebrate you guys because you do practice extensive inclusivity. Like he is always included. People know him. People know our family. And that means a lot. It means a lot for him to feel included, regardless if he is on the same gross motor path or not. Like everyone knows him. People, work so hard. Our little teacher will, got him out of his high chair so that he sits at the table with his friends.
Yeah.
And somebody ensures that they're just sitting behind him. And they always seem to be able to go that extra little bit so that he's sitting at the chair with his friends versus always being stuck in a high chair above his friends, obviously kind of by himself. Now he's sitting at the table and he's, they work through the 5,000 art projects they do a week. And she sits with him at, they read books and do circle time and all of those things. And he is an active member of their classroom.
I love to hear that because of this teacher and because these parents of these kids are so not even just accepting but including of Teddy. Like those kids are going to come out of there better people because they already know how to treat a child like Teddy as 100%. If he's just any other kid. That's a gift.
And it's so cool. And like I said, if I could literally, I'm like, man, if I could just figure out a way to get you all of the things you need to be his little para, and would you be his para through school? Because she's lovely. We, I think we all work really well as a team to know what's going on, and she knows what his seizures look like, and she knows when to anticipate them and how to react. And each time she's like, it was kind of scary, but we reacted and we made a plan. And I was like, that's what we need. Like, I don't need a teacher that's like, it was scary, but we didn't know what to do because. Can
you come pick him up? It's overwhelming.
Right. Teddy's like, he doesn't need that because this is not going away. So we need people in this corner to say, we know that he has this going on and we're going to act. Because also, like, Matt's got to work and I have to work. It's not like we can constantly say, sorry, got to leave you. Got to go take care of this. Like, we have to have some comfort level in people that can provide him the care that he needs consistently. It just can't be like we'll do it today, but we won't be able to do it tomorrow. They're like always on par for just being able to like take it and like roll with the changes. There's so much that changes in him every month when we go through a rough period or when we've been adding medications or having to abruptly stop them and substitute them. You can just say like, hey, this is what we're doing for the week. And they're like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, thank God. Like a month ago, we had to abruptly stop a medication because we were concerned about one of the side effects. So then we had to substitute it with a medication that basically made him sleep a lot for the week.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, hey, we know that he's going to sleep a lot. And they're so good because they're like, yeah, he did sleep for this long today, but they're okay with that. Versus some people I think would be like, well, if he's going to be, all crazy for the week and we may not know what his seizure activity does, I think some people would get pretty scared, expecting to be like, well, what's this kid going to do today? Is he going to have 10 seizures today? But they were like, cool, we'll take it. We'll roll with it.
I mean,
which is great. Like
right.
We need that. We need that. And people, you have to be able to trust people with his medical plan of care and to anticipate what's going to go on, because it can get crazy and he can have a bad day and he can have a seizure every time he wakes up. And you're, as soon as it starts, you're starting the clock wondering, okay, is it going to get to the point where we're going to give him rescue medication? Does it get to the point before that his breathing changes that we need to give him medication? And then watching him recover with that medication too.
Right.
I mean, one of the funny stories I was going to truly explains this teacher and the relationship between this teacher and Teddy. When we first got his walker, we weren't sure how it's going to play into the classroom. And every day they have outside time if the weather's nice, or they get gym time if the weather's not nice. And so they all walk in a line to the gym or outside. Well, they didn't know how exactly it would work with Teddy because Teddy's in his walker and they all have to hold on to a rope, stay in a line,
Mm-hmm.
Well, they figured out kind of quick that Teddy's walker's got a couple places to tie a rope. So they made Teddy the leader.
Oh, that's amazing.
Well, the funny part about it is what they don't remember how he said Teddy's strong?
Yeah.
And the teacher's walking with his O-ball, which is his toy that he absolutely loves. And if he wants it, he's going to get it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they told everyone to stop. And Teddy's like, no, you have my O-ball. So he kept going and he pulled like 2 or 3 kids with him. And they fell. And he's like, I got my O-ball. See, mine. And I'm like, okay. And this teacher didn't get mad, didn't get stern or anything. She was just like, Teddy, we have to wait, and was just 100% cool with him. But that was the moment when we realized that Teddy was going to be the leader of the line versus the kid in the back of the line. Yeah. Because instead of making everybody else walk at his speed, and slow down, they well, Teddy's the leader and we can't go faster than Teddy. And so they always just made sure that Teddy was included in, like Liz said, in every facet of daycare. His day at daycare is.
See, that's one of the reasons why we like to talk to you guys and tell your stories the way that we do, because you have a perspective that emphasizes that actions and language are important. The way we talk to and about our kids are very important, especially in the realm of inclusion. Kind of along those lines, can you think of something someone may have said to you about Teddy's diagnosis that had good intentions but have missed the mark? And then, what can we do to help educate people change that perception? A lot of times we get stories like people in a store just maybe holding their kids back rather than talking to Teddy, or saying something that they don't know is offensive or inappropriate because they're not used to it. That plays a factor in inclusion. Have you guys noticed anything like that? Have experienced anything like that? And what would you say to it?
There's 2 moments that come very brightly to mind, that I think about, and it makes me chuckle at sometimes, and it makes me rather angry at others. Liz shared this woman's blog with me a year or so ago. And one of the things is when people find out that, like I said, you look at Teddy, he doesn't look any different to most, if we would have never seen
he's not like a kid that,
that had Duke 15 and been like, wow, you guys have a lot of the same characteristics and attributes that I thought were just different, it's okay.
Yeah. But he's not like a kid with a trach, an event, and going somewhere that those are like very outward signs of a difference versus
like those are the things you can see.
Right.
Like
those are the things you can see automatically too, versus Teddy. Over time, if you see him down on the floor, then you notice those things. And you see obviously us carrying around a child that, is
the size of a 5-year-old.
He's the size of a 5-year-old, but he is only 2.5, which is just great like another
great shoulder workout.
Yeah. But I'll let you.
But, one of the things that I always get that makes me, like I said, some days chuckle and other days aggravated is when people say, I'm sorry, because they learned that Teddy has something different,
Yeah.
One of the prime examples of this moment was one of my good friends is helping me restore my wife and I's old truck so that we can take Teddy out for a cruise in the truck and have air conditioning and do those things. And he's in a car club here in Omaha. And these people are like, so what's so different? Well, he can't support himself. Like he can't walk the greatest. He can't really hold his head the greatest. He doesn't have the fine motor to where he can say, hey, Dad, I'm thirsty. Hey, Mom, I'm hungry. Like those types of things. And so we just have to kind of infer like, oh, it's about that time. He's probably getting hungry. And this group of people, they wanted to know a lot about Teddy and like, hey, how can I help all this? After the first words out of their mouth were, I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the things where when people say I'm sorry, they mean it with good intention.
Right.
I'm sorry that you're going through this. I want to help, but it sucks because you hear people say, I'm sorry. It's like, I'm not sorry. After we got the first diagnosis, every dad wants their son to be an athlete.
Yeah.
Wants their son to be that kid that stands up for others that are getting picked on. Every dad wants their kid to excel in be it rodeo, be it football, be it basketball, baseball,
music,
right.
Whatever, like those things. But you get this diagnosis like, hey, he's going to be behind in these things. Mm-hmm. I'm cool with it. Look at him. He's still smiling.
Right. Because you also on the opposite end get to see this kid turn into what you would consider like a man earlier. He's strong-willed. He's strong in general. He is who he is. Exactly.
Like you see everyone takes like this sign of success, as how much money you make, how many people know your name.
Mm-hmm.
And in this instance, Teddy is hella successful because his entire daycare knows his name. Right. The community knows Team Teddy, be it here in Omaha, be it in Minnesota, be it wherever, people know Team Teddy.
Yeah.
And there's no questions about it. And like when people say, I'm sorry, it's like, I'm not sorry. I'm sorry that you feel sorry.
And again, it comes with good intention. They're not trying to be offensive or anything like that.
Exactly. And so like,
yeah,
it's just like that thing, that phrase is one of the things a lot of families who don't have a child with, I don't like using special needs. I like using the phrase different abilities. We all know that phrase, but we don't want to focus on it. Let's focus on all the things he can do, not things he can't do. But everyone, when they have kids that don't have these different abilities, they think it's okay. They think their first thought is, I'm sorry. But to a lot of us, it's like, I'm not. He taught me how to push through like, oh, hey, I don't want to go to the gym today. It's fine. He's like, I didn't want to go to the gym either, but you brought me here and I pushed through. Mm-hmm. Now what?
Liz, do you have an example?
I think mine goes along the same way of same thing, just in the evolution of this journey, we we were probably those people that did say, I'm sorry, when people, that's just like a natural thing. But the more I don't know, I read the same mom's blog post, and her little girl also has Duke 15Q. And she talked about when people say that I'm sorry that you have this diagnosis, that I'm sorry that your child has this. And she spent a lot of time talking about that, feeling more so sorry for people that are uncomfortable with disability, that are uncomfortable with children that are different, or adults and young adults that are different, and people that have different needs going on, different medical journeys, and being more so sorry for a society that disguises their discomfort as pity. And that is how we express those things sometimes. And I think back to times that we probably did say that we were sorry if somebody got bad news, or somebody, received a diagnosis, and part of you want to go back and be like, man, I wish I could undo that and unsay that. But obviously we're all learning, and this is never more evident than this past year. I think with everything that's going on, people are learning and relearning different things.
We're all going through a different kind of education at this point.
Yeah. And it's obviously people meet with well intentions. And I think that those closest to us have learned the most about Teddy and about just how we tackle those words. And, our quick response is, well, we're not sorry. We've learned so much, and what, being sorry doesn't change his chromosomes. It doesn't, and it doesn't change our family. So we take the emotion that we are going to, continue to work harder. And whether that is our work in PT for the week, or whether that's Teddy's work in OT and hippotherapy, or it's just his work at home, or his work at daycare, all of those things he is working every day in. But I think after reading that mom's blog post, I was like, no, that is how I feel. And I follow other moms. I followed a lady on social media for multiple years that her daughter has limb differences, and she talks a lot about disability and access and kind of things, in her daughter's wheelchair bound. And so how does that change their lives and mobility and access, and how she's treated with her obvious physical differences, and what that looks like different for Teddy. And, kind of how Matt said, he doesn't have immediately noticed physical differences. But if you spend a little bit of time with him, you are going to notice the things that are different about him. You are going to notice that he is pretty much nonverbal. He is really good at saying mama, and getting pretty good about, we call him sometimes Bubba, and saying Bubba, but those differences do come out, and we see those differences when our friends are around with their young kids.
Yeah.
We have friends. We're all in this kind of group of people now that are having children, and we notice, obviously that, like I said, that developmental gap gets bigger as he ages with still being behind. But I don't know, I think Matt summed it up in people just saying, I'm sorry. And like I said, it's always with well intentions, but then you spend some time thinking about it and realizing that we're not sorry. We love him. He is taught us more than we could ever do.
It's not what you expected, but then you also get something on the other side of that as well.
Yeah.
You get something beautiful and a family that is strong and cuddly.
Yeah. Well, and you just even in my opportunity to work in healthcare as a provider, and learning through the families that I've interacted with, and telling people, and having to break bad news to people, and having people get bad news, and getting to take care of them throughout their NICU stay. It's been really interesting. Being a provider, and then having Teddy, and now being a mom of a child with special needs, and then working in a unit that obviously some of our kids have varying degrees of long-term needs and morbidity versus mortality. And those are a constant daily discussion. Working through that's been really interesting. We've had the opportunity to learn a lot from them, and me hopefully give back to them in what I know, knowing that, I don't know, teaching people that obviously anytime you get bad news, there's this period of lots of emotions and grief and change, and kind of figuring out and kind of digging within, but then also tell people that you're going to be okay. There's obviously a time that news is hard, and when
it's okay to be angry.
Going through all of those things, but knowing that in the end, you're going to be okay.
Yeah.
Like that is something that we obviously, and we as parents, you go through different things in different stages, and different things trigger different things for sure. But in the end, we know we're going to be okay.
Okay.
You know,
one last question.
Yeah.
And I understand that Teddy could benefit from a safe sleep bed. We've had a couple families in the past that we featured that have also benefited from these things. Just for listeners' sake, what is one, and why would Teddy benefit from one?
So he is like 2.5, and we have kept him. He's still been in his crib from when he was an infant. And, we've kind of been teetering on the line because he can stand up in his crib, and it's kind of the lowest that it can go. And we've been like trying to figure out options and trying to research options, all in the process of being terrified that he's going to fall out or figure out how to climb out. And that's happened. That's happened in this past month. And it caused a lot of just like panic because you're like, that's a good distance to fall and we want you to be safe. Yeah. And then you start weighing the options of like, well, what are we going to do next? And you're like, if he was a typically developing child, then you would just move them up to their bed, and they would, obviously toddlers go through stages where you put them in a bed and then they get out of their bed 8,000 times. But Teddy, with his gross motor skills being where they're at, he cannot safely get in and out, and he has no concept of the edge of anything. So like the edge of the couch, the edge of the bed, it's like a great place to maybe be because you just think you're always going to be fine and safe, but it's going to hurt when you fall.
Yeah.
And you risk getting hurt. And
he has heightened, like the kids with Duke 15Q have some of the highest pain tolerances because like,
they're just wired differently.
Prime example, Teddy threw a fan. I'm talking a fan, a tower fan. That's legitimately what I use in my office. He moved it with one hand. It slammed him in his face, cut his face. And we're like, dude, he just sits there.
Which means you also may not know if he's like really hurt with a broken bone or something.
Exactly.
Yeah. You're like looking and you're like, so after that happened, and before it happened, we were like trying to research ideas of like, what's the next stage to keep him safe? And obviously he can't sleep in our bed because then no one's going to sleep. He can't sleep in a crib, because he's getting too big. He probably can't sleep in a toddler bed because he's still going to get in and out. And that puts him at risk to, hit himself on the corner of something or get into his closet or get trapped somewhere. Or
throw his chair in his room like he did when he crawled out of his crib the first time.
Right. We're just like, what is the method to keep him safe? And you're trying to look at stuff too from like, what's the best option and what is going to be the best for him. And a family that I know here that the boys have different genetic diagnoses, but have a lot of the same characteristics with epilepsy and gross motor delay and things like that. They had said, hey, I had reached out to her and was like, what did you guys do? And what helped make your decision? And just what did you do? Just looking for answers. The Alliance page you can read through, and people have all sorts of different things that they've done. They've gotten bigger beds. People have done hospital beds. And I was like, well, we don't really need he'll get a bigger bed, but we don't really need a hospital bed because it's still not going to keep him safe. And the family that I'd reached out to ended up with this Abrams Nation safety sleeper. And it reminds me of
imagine
like a cool tent
sitting on top of a mattress.
And so the mattress tucks in, and then it has a very sturdy tent system over it. And it has a coverlet that then zips over the mattress. So there's no way to have him be entrapped. And it's all soft, which is important for his epilepsy as that evolves. We never know when it's going to get better or worse or what's going to come next. And so you're trying to think of the best way that's a soft sleeping system, something that will keep him safe throughout the night. Yeah. Because also he's got to be safe because we got to sleep because we go to work too. And, there's only so many nights that you can't sleep before you're completely on E and you have nothing else to give. And we have to give every day. So whether it's to our jobs or to him, to getting places, and just even for our own self-care, we have to give back to that. And so that's when we decided, we were like, I think this is going to be the best one. And that's the same one that the family I know had purchased. And she was like, we love it.
The cool thing with the safety sleeper is that when you ask how can someone benefit, how will this actually benefit for Teddy, it's it's not just a benefit for him. It's also a benefit for the parents in the aspect of nobody ever wants to feel like they're trapping their child.
Right.
But not everyone deals with a child that has the idea of flight, and not flight like I want to fly like Buzz Lightyear, but flight like I want to get the heck up on out of here.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things, if he gets startled, gets scared or whatever, that's his first thing is I want to flight. I want to get out of here. And it gives you the peace of mind knowing that the second you put that child in this safety sleeper, it's all soft.
Yeah.
You can still have your monitor to view him in the sleeper because it's mesh. You know, if he were to hit anything on it, it's soft. So it's strong, but it's also soft in the aspect that if he were to want to get up in the middle of the night and play, he's going to be safe.
And allows you guys to actually rest.
Exactly.
Right.
It gives us the opportunity to, once we put him in and secure him in, and I'm not saying secure with shackles. I'm saying secure with, you know what I mean? Like,
how much does a bed like this cost?
The
Realistically,
twin size, we just got a quote for just the twin, and it starts at just under $5,000.
Yeah, wow.
Which is insane.
Insane.
It's an eye opener to think that my 2-year-old's got a more expensive bed than me.
Right.
But it's also knowing that the benefit outweighs the value you see with the proper bed. I can't even put it to words, to be honest with you, because knowing that once this bed is going to be his, it will be that bed that he gets to rest in. He gets to recover. If he wants to play, okay, homie, play. I'm cool with it, Bubba. Like, we're good.
Yeah.
If you have a bad night, it's not impossible for mom or dad to be there to comfort you and lay with you in this bed. You know,
right.
It's one of those cool things about it, you know, but.
Well, this one too, this option, the Abrams Nation bed actually itself is able to travel. So when it comes
that's
to
excellent.
It's a lot of metal framing pieces, and then things zip around the frame, and everything comes in a suitcase, a hard-sided suitcase. So they give you the travel suitcase, they give you all the components of the bed, and then they give you an air mattress so that you can go, like, you know, at some point you can travel.
Yeah.
You can go places and not be like, what are we going to do tonight? Or who's not going to sleep tonight? But to, like, we have family that lives all around the country, or just even a family trip somewhere.
Yeah.
It's not going to be not impossible to go and to, like, give him that same environment, which is always important. You know, like for any kid, you want them to maybe not mess up their routine or where they sleep. And so that will be an opportunity that we can continue to do those things, and then try to keep him in his environment for the best of what travel gives you as his environment, but keeping those things together and, you know, like I said, keeping him as safe as possible, because we don't know, you know, we're kind of like without a map and a roadmap, and we don't know what this is going to look like, and we don't know what his epilepsy is going to evolve into. And even, you know, the amount of kids that are on the autism spectrum and the variations of those kids, and kids that there are some families that talk that they have runners, that the kids get out in public and they are like gone. And so trying to keep them contained and, you know, using that verbiage and, you know, not knowing what Teddy will do and what his habits will turn into is all an unknown, but trying to say, okay, this is going to be the best way that we can keep him safe and that he will hopefully sleep versus the some nights that he doesn't, but just, you know, to give his brain some rest, to allow him to reset and decompress, which is all important stuff. But we got to all be able to do it. We got to all be able to sleep.
It seems though, what is known is that he has 2 excellent caring parents. You guys are incredible. Really, really enjoyed being able to meet you and get to spend some time with you guys, even if it is virtually right now. You guys are amazing. I'm so glad that we get to feature Teddy coming up here soon. shout love for him, and we can see what our Go Shout Love community can kind of do for you guys, even if it is just love and support, and however we can do it well for you guys.
Yeah, we're really excited.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you so much for allowing us to talk. Like I said, I would love to come up and the team would love to come up and meet Teddy sometime when this is all over.
You're always welcome. You're always welcome at our house. Just let us know. I mean,
we don't go many places, so
you might have to deal with
here.
a barking Vizsla, and you might have to deal with a whole bunch of Teddy Snuggles. But I mean,
I'm sure, especially a couple other team members would be perfectly happy with that.
Because I mean, that's truly the beautiful thing with Teddy is he knows as dad, like, you don't know the best way to explain it, but the best way I can explain it is Teddy knows love better than anybody. You know, I mean,
as a giver and a taker.
Oh, exactly. Like, it's the best thing to learn as a parent. Like, everyone's like, I just hope my child will be this. I'm like, I just hope my child will always understand that there's unconditional love everywhere you go. You know, yes, we live in a very different world now than what we lived in before, but he doesn't hold yesterday against today or tomorrow. He just loves, period. And that's what.
And you would want that for everybody, to know love the way that Teddy knows love.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like 100%, because that's what I'm trying to do in my own, like, not my personal life, because I love unconditionally in my personal life, but in my outside of my house.
Right. Outwardly to the rest of the world, how can I be more like Teddy?
Exactly. It's like, I don't care. I just want to love like he taught me how to love, you know, because that's the hardest thing to do, is love and accept, you know.
I think we've also learned the process of how to advocate and sharing with other people to continue to advocate for their kids.
Yeah.
Because of a healthcare system that's hard to navigate, and barriers that are like language differences and socioeconomic status and all of those things. But I want to, you know, when we just got Teddy's diagnosis and working through my job, we had a program at our hospital that was bringing in families from all around the country. And those kids typically had trisomy 13 and 18. And those families were being denied healthcare for their kids that needed cardiac surgery and needed interventions. And they were literally being denied care because of their chromosomes.
Yeah.
Which was, that opportunity to take care of those families literally changed our lives. It changed my life, and it changed the ability I learned how to advocate from the multiple sets of parents that I got to interact with on a daily basis, and learning that how to help them in a process that Teddy's never been denied care because he has extra chromosomes, and learning how to work with these families and work beside them in their kids' healthcare needs, and then learning how to translate that into Teddy's healthcare needs, learning how to say, like, no, this is what he needs, and making sure that we get things done as quickly as we can, because we know that a timeline matters, and knowing how to balance my professional life with being a mom life and being parents, and working together to like accomplish those goals. But just,
and it's something that you would kind of wish out of every medical professional to be an advocate, to understand the different situations surrounding every diagnosis. Yeah.
To like understand, I think my ability to connect with families that just get life altering news about their kids, whether they maybe knew something was going on in utero or they had no idea, but to just like be an advocate to help people remember those times, and remember that very raw moments from when they get news to even the first 8 weeks of getting an official diagnosis. You know, I think a lot of people ask us like, well, do you feel better now that you have a diagnosis? And I think we do. I think we would feel very lost.
Better that we have the diagnosis, because that diagnosis is what's giving us the opportunities through insurance to
get him what he needs
to
and
get
to like
him
have a basic
care,
roadmap, like
because they want you to have the diagnosis. Like that single diagnosis is more important than the previous seizure, than the previous attempts. Like, oh, I see you tried this medication. Well, this is in your coverage. It's this because we don't know any of this. It's like, no, sorry, sunshine. Here's my diagnosis. Like,
I think
it's
just
like that diagnosis has given light.
Yeah.
But also the beautiful thing of it is now that we have a diagnosis, we also learned it really doesn't change how much you love your child. Like, you fight to get that diagnosis, knowing that the benefit of that diagnosis is 100%
just resources,
just the resources.
And the ability to say, like, this is what he has, and this is how we can advocate. This is how we can, when we can raise money for the 15Q Alliance, because that gives more money to research and other families and just connecting with people. But I don't know. I just wanted to say, like, the amount of families that has helped me grow professionally, and then also just as a mom to learn to advocate for your children has been so incredible. And hopefully I can give back to them the things that I have learned in the process, and also advocate and teach the people that I work with on a professional level to, like, being sensitive to them in this moment and being sensitive.
No, sincerely. Thank you for adding that in. That's one of the reasons why we want this podcast and whatever we share, not only for people who may not be able to relate or want to shout love, but for people who are going through something similar and need to know that there's people willing to advocate, medical professionals, people who need to learn that they need to advocate for their own children as well. It's extremely important and something that's not communicated well enough.
Yeah. And then, like, I have the knowledge to know that that testing results are going to be back because I've ordered them before, but there are families that wait a long time and they feel like
there's some families that have waited 4 to 6 weeks,
or they just feel like they're, like, interrupting the medical team or not asking enough, but, or like
they feel like they're being with that needy family.
Right. And
they're feeling like there's been times where Liz and I have reached out to our pediatrician that's seeing Teddy now. We're like, are we just being like that overprotective? Are we just, like, asking too many questions? And our pediatrician that we see now has given us a statement and a true comfort, because she has said to us, we actually look at you and your family as the professional because we've never dealt with.
Right. We hear that quite often.
It's like, if you feel as though you need this ran, call us. Let us know. So we can then look into it and we can get it done.
Yeah.
Don't feel like you're doing too much, because there's no such thing as too much. Unless you're talking about sodium, then there's too much sodium, I guess. But, like, there's no such thing as too much when it's trying to get the help for your child.
There's no such thing as too much information, too much, quote, advocacy. And there's nothing that you can't do that's over the top.
Because they gave us the first diagnosis we were given for Teddy was developmentally delayed.
Yeah.
Okay, that's an umbrella. And then Liz sat on the couch one night and just turned into super mom and was just like, no, that ain't right. That answer is not enough for me. No. Right. I want more. Tell me why he's developmentally delayed. Why? It's not just because he's big. It's not just because XYZ. It's there's something.
Just finding your tribe. We have a great support system in our family and our friends and coworker groups and all these people that love Teddy and encourage him and do so much already, but just encouraging those people out there that if they don't feel like they have a tribe, to, like, seek it out and seek out people that are going to help them advocate for their kids.
Yeah.
You cannot do anything alone, and you cannot do anything without the support of others.
Yeah.
There's, like, nothing bad about needing support from your friends when you're having a bad week, or something's going on, or you don't feel like you're getting somewhere. Mm-hmm. Having those people to support you, and obviously family, and Matt's my husband and he's Teddy's dad, and we support one another, but then having friends to help us support one another, and people just in our tribe. And, our tribe continues to grow every day. We get more people. And like my coworker's sister, who I barely ever talked to, is like, oh, I started watching Teddy videos. A girl that I went to nurse practitioner school with that lives in Tennessee sent me a message. Hudson, her 2-year-old, and I watch Teddy videos. Like she's
We've also
like
extended our tribe now to another place.
Yeah, just
whoever watches this.
Yeah, exactly. That's the point. That's the point.
We're so excited. It's going to be so fun to, share more about it. The kids, I followed the kids now, and the power of social media is really intense, and hopefully we can help support other families too.
And hopefully if there's a family out there that is going through a similar situation as what we are, and they have questions, hey,
we're here.
We're here. There's families out there. Just reach, and someone will reach out with you. They'll grab the hand and help you guide what direction you need to, because by the grace of God, we've been given the opportunities to be guided by other families and also guide other families, because
that's what
we got that one little, hey, have you checked this out? No, I'm going to. And then you check it out, and that little curiosity has just expanded to help others. And that's, don't be scared to ask. Yeah. Like that is one thing my 7th grade history teacher, Mr. Reynolds, said. Don't be scared to ask. Just ask. What's the worst that can happen? I don't know. And you have to go ask someone else. You'll find your answer. Just don't be scared to ask.
Thank you for listening. If you are new to Go Shout Love, we do amazing things for amazing families with kids on rare medical journeys. Each month, we shout love for families through the sale of creative apparel inspired by the kiddos. This month's Love Dives Deep design is inspired by Teddy from Omaha, Nebraska. Visit our website, goshout.love, to support Teddy through the purchase of a t-shirt, a tumbler, tank, or other items, and every item sold in August will be used to help cover the cost of a safety sleeper bed for Teddy. This month, we are featuring 2 kiddos from Nebraska, Teddy and Sydney. 2 families, 2 very different diagnoses, but both now a part of the Go Shout Love family. And we would love nothing more than for them to feel us shouting loud this month. Both Teddy and Sydney are incredible kids who are impacting lives around them simply by being who they are. What better way to give back to them by simply being who we are, which is a community that does amazing things for amazing kids like them. Share with a friend any of our posts about Teddy and Sydney and help spread their stories. And by doing that, and hopefully getting a t-shirt, there will be more and more of us that will go and shout love. Thanks.